Austrian leader backs far-right idea of enshrining cash in constitution. Do you have money in your pocket? You just might be a Nazi. Let's find out. Vienna, August 4th. Austria's Conservative Chancellor Karl Nehammer wants the right to use cash enshrined in the constitution, which I think is very, very good because the government, all governments everywhere, ever since the launches of crypto and stuff like that, they want a centralized digital currency, which means if you've got money in your pocket, that's your money, it's in your pocket. However, the government, if it's centralized currency using like a cred chip or whatever you want to call it, like they have in Cyberpunk or anything, or are you doing something naughty? Freeze your funds. And like the government would be in full control of it. They'd be completely in control of the currency. They would be able to essentially fudge it and make it do whatever it wants. Also, if there's a type of transaction that you want to complete, no, you're not. No, you're absolutely not. What would end up happening, by the way, if that occurred, is full-blown agorism. That is what would happen at the end of that. But anyway, I'll go on with the article. He told the Austrian media in remarks published on Friday an idea by the far-right Freedom Party that the far-right Freedom Party has been pushing for years. Like the far-right, you're trying to say, like, I love the fact is, you've spent years and years and years demonizing, the far right bad, far right bad, far right bad, far right bad, and everyone's like, oh my god, far right bad. And then what you do was, if there's ideas that basically interfere with the government's plans to seize absolute power, you just call those ideas far right. That's like the easiest thing to do now. You don't like it when the police beat you and drag you off to a gulag. You might be far right. I don't want to be far right. God, put the cuffs on. Like, it's so obvious now. That's the thing that's bothering me so much. It's like, even though that we know they're lying, they're still pushing this shit, and they're doing it with there's no way a straight face. They crack now and again. Most opinion polls show the anti-immigration Freedom Party in first place, with a clear lead over the opposition Social Democrats and Nehammer's Conservatives, who are in a two-party coalition with the left-wing Greens. The current parliament runs until autumn of next year. God damn, anti-immigration Freedom Party in first place. Why are all these right-wing parties suddenly doing so well in Europe? I wonder what could have caused it. I have absolutely no idea. It bemuses me, one might say. The issue of cash is very important to people, Nehammer told Austrian media, including news agency APA. It is important to me that cash be written into the constitution, APA quoted him as saying. He has asked Finance Minister Magnus Brunner to draw up a proposal ahead of a meeting with banks in September, APA added. Austrians are among the most cash-loving nations in the Eurozone. In times of crisis, such as the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, they have rushed to banks and hoarded cash at home. Many tourists are stunned to find that some restaurants and cafes do not accept payment by card. I have no problem with places like that. I try and make sure I carry a little bit of money on me and all that, because I've been into places where it's like, oh, it's cash only, and I'm like, oh, fuck, and then I have to go find a cash machine. But I don't get pissed off at the place for doing that, because what a lot of people don't know is whenever you do transactions by card, the store has to pay a fee for each transaction. So that's why a lot of stores go, no cards used for transactions under X amount. That's why, because the fee makes it not worth the time. That's why a lot of places prefer cash, and as well as cash is easier to hide and not declare to the government. Do with that information what you will. Despite the Austrian National Bank's repeated assurances that there are no plans to do away with cash, not yet. We know that that's your plan. Everywhere, literally every country in Europe right now in the West are looking into a centralized digital currency. They're all looking into it. That's something like, we have no plans, then why are you looking into it? Why are you looking into it? It's like seeing me standing at a door with a balaclava on, with a crowbar, and everyone's like, are you going to break into the house? No. I'm not going to break into the house. So it's kind of like, it's obvious. Like, why are you standing outside the house with a crowbar then and a mask on? Like it's obvious. You're all looking into it because you're planning to do it, right? Again, it's like they make obvious lies, obvious disprovable lies, to the point where I think they're actively trying to get people to hate them. The FBO has argued that the right to use cash and the freedom to pay anonymously are at risk. Until now, the Conservatives had dismissed such arguments. I wonder what's changed to make them change their mind. The FBO lambasted Nehammer for his U-turn on the issue. Aren't you ashamed of stealing ideas this way from the evil and extreme FPO? Don't you have any sensible ideas of your own? FPO leader Herbert Kickle said in a party statement. No, right, hold on, right. If someone is doing a genuinely like great idea, right? For example, like I'm in Scotland, I'm seen as like the free speech guy. Like I didn't try. You know, I was kind of dragged through a trial, and you know, hey ho, the dominoes fell where they fell. But basically, I'm seen as the free speech guy. So if there's free speech stuff that happens in Scotland, I'm the one that gets the emails and fucking atted on Twitter and blah 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 and all this other stuff, right? If some new guy came up, some sprightly 16-year-old, much better looking, much thinner, much more in shape, and everything like that, and he hits it with some brilliant talking points, and he goes to the Parliament and goes, we should have an enshrined constitution, blah, 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 or whatever, it protects freedom of speech, and he's the one that gets all the love and adoration and all that type of stuff. I'm not going to go, actually, that was my idea at first, you absolutely copied me. I'd be like, no, get that constitution, and I don't care. This isn't the time for pride. This isn't the time for my ego and all that stuff. Yeah, him, the 16, yeah, fuck you, get him in. See if that 16-year-old is going to get a constitution, I would say everybody fuck off and support him right now. His chances are so much better, because it doesn't matter about like my pride, my ego, my blah blah blah. I want the recognition. Now, one thing I want more than recognition is human rights. Those would be nice, because I mean, I don't think recognition is worth much without human rights. So see him going, you just like stole our idea. Shut the fuck up and let him implement it. If you like that idea and you want it in place, and this guy's in a much better position than you to actually enact that idea, then shut the fuck up and let him do it. Right? Again, it shouldn't be about the recognition. It should be about getting the good idea put in place. Right? That was a silly thing to say. A 2/3 majority is required in Parliament to change the Constitution. Together, the FPO and Conservatives only control about 55% of seats in the lower house. Oh, so it's the Parliament that vote on changes to the Constitution, not the people. Yeah, I'm sure absolutely nothing awful is going to happen there. Reporting by Francois Murphy, blah, 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 fucking hoogity boogity, hon baguette, fucking weird, hoogan boogin European names. Right. Things like cash transactions, they are coming after it. They are coming after it big time. The main reasons for it is people are able to exchange for goods and services that the government doesn't want them to be exchanging for. You know, drugs being one, firearms being another, and also, you know, you've all hired workies that get paid in cash. It's for taxes as well. They're like, oh, we only take cash, mate. I'm always dead cheeky, because I know exactly why they want the cash. It's so they won't declare their taxes, so they can just keep it. And I'm very cheeky, and I'll turn around and go, that's cool. 5% off, mate. Ask them, 5%'s reasonable. 5%, I think that's reasonable. You get to keep the other 15%, right? You know, I think that's very, very reasonable. I mean, after all, it's me that has to go and drive down to the bank and answer it by whenever you try and withdraw a large amount of money. The sheer amount of questions the bank asks you, I tell them to go fuck themselves. I just say it's none of your business, none of your business. Just go, nothing illegal, nothing illegal, nothing illegal, nothing illegal. Give me my money. Goodbye. But, you know, I need to go all the way down there and go to the bank and withdraw the money and answer all those questions, you know. 5%. You know that. And a lot of the time they'll be pissed off because they know that you know and all that. And that's when they'll be like, aye, all right, mate. That man will do it. So yeah, 5%, that's a going rate. And if here, as soon as that money leaves my hands, it is no longer any of my business. If that man doesn't pay his taxes, that's his fucking business. That is his problem. But that is one of the main reasons why the government want to bring in the centralised currency, because it can be permanently tracked at all times. It cannot change hands without the government knowing who had it first and who it was sent to, which basically means taxation will go absolutely through the roof, because all transactions will be recorded, and as well as if there's, and also, you know, here's the fun part. Sanctions, and I'm not talking about other countries. I'm talking about companies, charities, human rights groups, lobbying groups, all those other places, private citizens, private individuals. You can get sanctioned, and this has been something that's been in the works for quite some time. They planned to do it with chips first. That was the thing they planned to do. Everyone fucking rolls their eyes at the microchip stuff. No, that was a legitimate thing that was genuinely considered. And they wanted it so that they could control currency. They could control someone via not... People goes mind control. It wasn't mind control. It was basically things like your data, your birth certificate, blah, 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 your national insurance or social security number would all be stored on the chip. If you wanted to get something like a mobile phone contract or purchase something, you would scan your chip. They're still trying to sort of do it now, but they've realised that's not feasible because, you know, that well has been thoroughly poisoned. But in regards to things like currency, the idea was if you didn't put it, you know, if you were a little bit of a political dissident, then the exact words that were said by a particular banker that will not be named was, we'll just switch off their chip. But now, since no one's going to get the fucking chips, if you've got a centralized currency, they could just switch it off for you. You don't get payments anymore, mate. You don't get payments. You can't send money. Can't do this, can't do that. Or they can limit where you can spend your money. Or this, you can get food and that's it, since pesky human rights laws say that we need to allow you that. Yep, that's the main thing. It's absolute control over people's behaviour, which, I mean, it's governments. It's just kind of what they do.